Okay, I'm tired. Tired and exhausted. And filming a video probably isn't the best way to go, but you know, what can you do? Sorry. Someone told me this angle was the up the nose angle, and so that makes me start doing stuff like this. You know, my face was like made of putty. Cut it out. We're serious here. We're serious. No, we're not, because we are exhausted. And you can tell we are exhausted because I'm speaking in the third person or something, second person. The royal we. I don't even think I'm royal. Some people are. I know some people that are, but that's not the point of this video. I am exhausted because it's roughly 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and I have been awake since 3 p.m. Sunday. And I stayed up Sunday night through to Monday so that I could reset my body clock by going to bed at a decent hour, 9, 10 o'clock on Monday evening. And why didn't I? Because was it? Okay, a day or so ago. Time is not my strong suit. Well, I think my dogs ate some bad eggs. My big dog, my Dane. And she was previously sick, but I thought she'd got over it. And tonight, it hit again. So, yes, I was going to go to bed at a decent hour, but then I had to put her outside with my puppy. They're in a fenced enclosure because Big Dog has explosive diarrhea and it's been cleaning it up several times. So they're outside, and all of this happened right as I was going to bed, and I had to clean up a bunch of mess and put them out and then stay up to make sure they were okay. So that's why I'm still up. Not because I'm an irresponsible teenager doing weird stuff. I'm not even a teenager, but yeah, I was in the Army, and we used to have to pull 24, 36 long hour shifts without sleep. So I know what sleep deprivation does to me, and so I've got sleep deprivation. But, you know, back when I did this before, it was like 40 years ago, maybe. God, that's scary to say, isn't it? It was in the last century. That's how scary it was. The 1900s. Way back in the 1900s. And I was young and had more energy. And it still hit me pretty hard. So, yeah, I'm going to go to bed soon because the dogs seem to be quiet outside. And okay. But why am I making a video? Well, I have a lot of ideas for content. A lot of things are going on in other channels right now. And I sort of try to avoid what a lot of people are doing at the same time. Because it's, sort of like piggybacking onto what they're already doing, or people say, well, I got the idea from them, even though I was working on it long before I saw their video, I can see how that goes. So this is a video about stuff and nonsense. Yes, you can go home now after 6 minutes and know that it's just stuff. Well, one thing is my glasses, see, I'm not here. There, you can see it. Okay, I'm sorry if they're dirty. I hate dirty glasses. I clean them all the time. And, they get dirty. What was I just showing you? Well, you notice I'm not wearing 2 pair of glasses. My regular glasses and reading glasses over the top. Is that slightly better? See those little there? They're stick-on bifocal. And they're basically, they're not sticky stick. They're that static cling kind of thing where they just stick until you pull them off, reposition them, put them elsewhere. So anyway, I have turned my regular glasses into bifocals, reading glasses. Aren't you proud of me? Yeah, anybody could do that. So, questions. There's always questions people have, or at least I have. I am always full of questions. In the military, when they were working on something new and they saw me coming, I could see them roll their eyes and take a deep breath to, like, calm their nerves, because I was going to come over and ask a million questions. Because I like to know the how and the why, and I was a mechanic. Everything from lawnmowers and small engine repair up to heavy terrain forklifts, any battle vehicle in between, any of the road, the big beyond 18-wheelers. These were massive. I mean, they hauled tanks, so what does that say? How big they were. And I fixed them all. Repaired engines, repaired whatever was broken. That was my thing. And what does this have to do with anything in life? Was that off topic? There was a reason. Maybe about the 40 years ago when I was up for days upon end, and the kind of work we had to do. But don't know about that. But question: do ants have ears? No, they don't have like human ears hanging off the side of their head. Do they have some hearing apparatus or apparati? I'm looking to my right because there's a ant trap, a little pool of, it's called taro, and it's borax, which is soap, and sugar water. And however it works its thing, they carry it back to the nest and it kills them all off. But just so I'm going to tell you about ants. Just be quiet and I'm going to tell you. When you have an ant infestation, and I live in an area where ant infestations are huge. I know people that keep all their food in their fridge just to keep it away from ants. I mean, I've had to freeze my sugar to kill off the ants. So yeah, I've eaten ants in maple syrup and in sugar and whatever. But you see, these ants were all gathered at the little ant trap, and I coughed loudly. I didn't hit anything. I didn't hit the desk. I just coughed, and they all went racing off like they were startled. So that brought up the question of, do ants have ears? Do they have hearing apparatus? Is that how they knew, they were startled and all ran off? So tell me, can ants hear? We're talking the little tiny sugar ants too, the really little tiny black ones. Oh, and yes, a bit more on the ants. Like I was saying, you put out this ant bait and the ants will all flood it. You do it when you first start seeing ants. They'll all flood it, and then after a while, there's fewer and fewer, and then there's none for maybe a week or so, maybe less. And so you wait, because in a week or so, there will be ants again. And see what happens, why they're difficult to get rid of is, okay, the bait kills all of the worker ants, the queen kills all of the active ants, the walking around active ones. It does not kill the eggs. So in about a week or so, they hatch out and one of them becomes the queen. And so they go out in search of food again. So you put out the bait again. And each time it gets to be fewer ants, and they get to be smaller ants because they're having to leave the nest younger because there's nobody to feed them. And so it takes weeks and weeks to get rid of an ant infestation. And if you live in an area where it's bad, you're basically having to bait them all the time. And I know it's evil, killing another creature, a God's creature, but guess what? They got inside of one of my smoke and CO2 detectors and fouled all the wires, so it basically started going off with a weird noise to tell me that, guess what? I'm full of ants. Pull me down and see how many's in there. Not pleasant. And particularly since people don't want me on ladders for some reason. Oh, sakes. They won't let me up on the roof. They said, no, you can't go up a ladder. I said, well, I need to repair my roof. It's leaking. No, you can't go on the roof. You're not allowed to go on the roof. I'm only 67. I'm not too old to go on the roof. It's not like I'm 97. And even then, you know, if I was in the shape I am now, why can't I go on the roof? Kids. Kids, that's what they do. They put you in old person's prison. Yeah, they do. And granted, I can trip over a air on the sidewalk and face plant. There's no reason not to let me on the roof. But yeah, so, you know, I wasn't supposed to go up the ladder, and I did, and I found this mess and killed the ants, and they just went elsewhere. So, do ants have hearing? Do ants have a soul? When I, you know, kill one of them, is there a little ant soul winging its way to heaven or wherever they go? Are there, like, paranormally speaking, are there like millions, billions of ant souls hanging around here, still running around doing the business that they did when they were alive? There's no word on that yet. And I usually don't go past this point because it's very Stephen King-ish if you think about it. Ants are bad enough, but millions of ant souls. Is that what's stealing your food from the fridge? They've unionized. They get on little, you know, they will make little chains. You can see them sometimes from branch to branch, spot to spot. They will make these chains of ant and ant and ant and ant and ant and ant. And how they go from point A to point B, I don't quite know. I don't know if they build a chain up and then it falls over and they grab the other side, or if it's more of a controlled thing where they just like hold each other steady until the ants make it across the space. I have seen ant chains. I have not seen how they get from point A to point B in their ant chain. So, but here's a paranormal tidbit. Could be ants, could be ghost ants. My partner and I hadn't had pizza for more than a month, maybe 2 months. And no pizza was in the house. There was no pizza. And we were out one day doing something, and we came home, and she asked me, is this some kind of a Are you trying to punk me? Is this some kind of a joke? Why did you do this? And I'm looking, going, why did I do what? And so I went over where she was standing, and there was a trail of pizza crusts side by side from the kitchen to the bedroom door. Pizza crusts. Besides not having pizza in a couple months, and not being home when this happened, and nobody was at our house. And the fact is that we never have pizza crust because I feed them to the dogs. So we don't even throw pizza crusts in the garbage. The dogs eat them. So how did these pizza crusts get in my house and lined up in a long line? Unexplained. Nope, nobody could have broken in or let themselves into my house to do this, to pull this prank. There was nobody at the house, or nobody could get in the house. I'm breaking into the house to pull this prank. Is highly unlikely. And nobody ever owned up to it or asked us about it or anything else. So if they were pranking us, they would want to know our reaction. And there was none of that. So that is one unexplained incident at my house. And here's one more. Okay. My Jeep was locked. All the doors were locked. They're always locked. I lock it up even out here in the boonies. It's always locked. So I go out to the Jeep one day. Nobody's been around. I live alone. My house is sort of a remote, hidden spot where nobody's going to walk by. There's no humans coming around because we've got giant blackberry and brambles to where people can't even get to my house unless they come down the driveway, and nobody knows my house is down this driveway. They assume that the farmhouse is the one further up the road. I mean, I even have trouble getting DoorDash to come down here, and they have instructions. So anyway, I go out to my Jeep, and I unlock it, and here, laying across the seat, is a machete. And it's in its case. It's nice and new. And it was not in there when I locked the Jeep. But when I unlocked it, and I'm the only one that had access to it, how did this machete appear laying across my seat? Riddle me that, Batman. Another unexplained occurrence. A possibly paranormal occurrence. Sorry, there's a weird noise outside. I had to pause. But I have to go check and see what this noise is. So that's the end of my video. Good to talk to you all. Get off my lawn. Goodbye.